Piers Morgan had absolutely no words when Mehdi Hasan shut down his Trump defense in real time by pulling out physical documentary evidence on the Epstein files, right there in the middle of the debate. And this all started because Piers tried to use that classic line, "You guys have Trump Derangement Syndrome." What he didn't expect was the response he was about to get. Mehdi's comeback was so precise and so well back that it's hard to imagine Piers reaching for that line again anytime soon, at least not in front of Mehdi. Throughout the entire exchange, Piers looked visibly frustrated and embarrassed. And what's remarkable is that he tried, multiple times, to shut the debate down entirely, and it simply didn't work. We're going to break all of it down right here on Clear Record. As always, if you find this useful, please share it so we can keep growing this community. Now, let's get into it.
Piers, do you agree? Do you agree that Donald Trump is mad, nuts, deranged, and mentally unfit for office? Do you agree with that? Do you agree
Why
with that
do you do this? Why don't you just...
Do you agree he's mad,
Why don't you
nuts?
just say, Mehdi?
I mean, it's a simple question, Piers. People are watching. Do you agree that Donald Trump is mad, deranged,
it's not your show.
and unfit for office? Because those are your words, Piers. Those are your words.
When I come on your show,
those are your words.
When I come on your show, when I come on,
you call Donald Trump deranged, mad,
time out,
and nuts.
When I know, and occasionally I think he is those things. And as you know, I've said it when I think he is, and when I think he deserves praise, I give him praise. My point is, though, that
but overall, you accept
blinkered about AOC. No, I think sometimes he's perfectly normal and lucid. Sometimes he does nutty things.
Most of the time. Come on, Piers. This is a man who rants about shark attacks, who talked about Arnold Palmer's penis at a rally, who did an impression of someone doing oral sex on a microphone at a rally. There's been no president like this. I hate George W. Bush, but I would put George Bush 100 times above Donald Trump in terms of intellectual and mental fitness for office. You cannot question any Democrat's intellectual fitness for office when you have supported this man, the most deranged man, your words, deranged, mad, nuts man, in office.
Just to be clear,
this is a man who couldn't find Taiwan on a map if his life depended on it.
Mehdi, here's the problem. I'm afraid, listen, you know I like you, I respect you very much. You've built an amazing business with Zeteo. Congratulations. But one of the reasons Donald Trump got re-elected is that you guys have got literally Trump Derangement Syndrome. It plays into his hands. I prefer to be more even-handed with him. I prefer to praise him when he deserves it, and I prefer to whack him when he doesn't. When you're so blindly enraged by everything, including silly jokes he says, you're so deranged about it, actually in the end, you managed to achieve the unthinkable. You managed to help get Trump re-elected.
Hold on.
He got re-elected with a bigger majority.
Do I get to speak? So, hold on. Let's just deal with a couple of things. The reason he got re-elected, I would argue, is the media gave him a pass. People like you, I came on your show on the eve of his election, and you were telling me all sorts of things. Oh, don't call him a Nazi, don't call him a fascist. Meanwhile, we have masked thugs pulling American citizens off the street,
He's not a Nazi.
In cold blood.
He's not a Nazi.
I was right about his fascism. You were wrong about his fascism. I was right that he would try and stay in office in 2021. You were wrong about that. His people are shooting Americans.
He didn't stay in office in 2021.
Everything that I said would happen in a second term.
He didn't stay in office.
Piers, and you said he was
he's not a Nazi, and he's not a fascist.
Oh, my God. Piers, you, in January 2021, accused him of trying to stay in office. You said he sent an armed mob to the Capitol. You said he should be removed from office, never be president again. You changed your tune once he got back to the presidency. I get that. That's fine.
No.
I've been right about everything I've said about Trump. And as for being Trump Derangement Syndrome, it's the very opposite. Even I didn't think he'd be trying to start a war with Denmark. Even I didn't think he'd be shooting Americans in the street 14 months into his presidency. Even I didn't think he'd be this corrupt on this level so openly. So, in fact, he's been much worse than those of us who allegedly have TDSs. You have TDS, Piers. You have Trump Denial Syndrome. When I say to you, is Trump racist? You say, no, he's not racist, even though he calls Somalis low IQ, Piers. Do you agree that Somali people are low IQ? Is that not the most racist thing?
Just to explain, Mehdi, just to explain.
You're dodging me.
This is not your show.
Do you think Somalis are low IQ, Piers?
This is not your show, Mehdi.
Do you think Somalis are low IQ?
You don't get to interview me for half an hour. It's not your show.
People are worried about your silence.
When I come on your show, when I haven't been silent about any of these things. You should watch my show more.
Trump calls Somalis low IQ. Is that not a Nazi thing to say? Is that you? Okay, I'm not asking you a question.
It's not a Nazi thing to say. No,
I think
it's not a Nazi thing to say.
It is white supremacist rhetoric
to
call black people garbage and low IQ.
The problem is,
it's amazing that you're defending.
Okay, Mehdi,
amazing.
Let's not talk at the same time. No, here's what I'm defending. When people like you on left keep calling Trump a Nazi or comparing him to Adolf Hitler, that is exactly what I'm talking about Trump Derangement Syndrome. It is so ridiculous, so offensive, so inaccurate. Adolf Hitler and the Nazis murdered 12 million people, including 6 million Jews in a Holocaust. There is zero comparison to be made.
Then why are they pumping out Nazi propaganda from the DHS Twitter account? Why are they using literal Nazi themes and quoting Nazi books? Do you know that they're doing that? Have you checked that out? Go check it out. I wrote about it. Why are they trying to...
Has he murdered 12 million people?
A man who says... Why is he? That's not the definition of a Nazi. That means Nick Griffin's not a Nazi because he didn't murder. You know perfectly well, you don't have to be Hitler to have Nazi views. These are Nazi views. When you put someone in front of Congress right now, they're trying to confirm someone to the State Department, Piers, who says that we need to address the Jewish question, that Jews are victims, that white people are being erased. Are those not Nazi views? Are those not far-right views? Are those not views you want to condemn? This is your friend. You say, Donald Trump is my friend. I'm asking you, Donald Trump, your friend, was friends with Epstein.
Piers looked genuinely embarrassed there. His facial expressions and that awkward laugh said everything his words wouldn't. By that point in the exchange, he had already conceded a significant amount of ground, and you could sense, at least indirectly, that some of what Mehdi was saying was landing even with him. And that's where the real irony kicks in. Many of the same people who throw around the Trump Derangement Syndrome label, accusing others of blind, irrational opposition, often display the exact same behavior themselves, just pointed in the opposite direction. It looks less like principled balance and more like blind devotion, where contradictions on one side get ignored while the other side gets scrutinized. Piers presents himself as the fair, even-handed commentator. But what we saw in this exchange exposes a gap in that image. Rather than engaging with the specific points Mehdi raised, the rally behavior, the Epstein files, the fascist rhetoric allegations, Piers repeatedly reached for the TDS label. And that's the problem. Calling something Trump Derangement Syndrome is not a counterargument. It's a label designed to dismiss, to shift focus away from the actual facts on the table, and to reframe the critic as the problem rather than addressing the criticism itself. When that keeps happening in a debate, it stops feeling like an honest exchange of ideas. It starts feeling like narrative management. There's also a telling example of the factual inconsistency that often goes unchallenged in these conversations. Consider this. Can any price be reduced by more than 100%? Mathematically, the answer is no. A 100% reduction brings something to zero, and you cannot go beyond that. Yet Donald Trump has repeatedly claimed he would reduce drug prices by 200%, 300%, even 700%. Whether those statements reflect exaggeration, a misunderstanding of basic arithmetic, or a complete disregard for accuracy is a legitimate question. What's frustrating is how rarely it gets pressed. Instead of directly addressing that inconsistency, the conversation gets redirected and the claim quietly disappears. That pattern, where statements that don't align with basic facts avoid serious scrutiny, is exactly the kind of accountability gap this debate was circling around.
We know how many Trump people are in the files in very awkward positions, lying about their relationships, from Elon Musk to Howard Lutnick, Mehmet Oz, multiple. That's why Thomas Massie is now calling this the Epstein administration. But just on Trump, I just want to mention a couple of things. I just brought this along just to remind myself. Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than has previously been reported or that we were aware. That's an email from one of his own DOJ lawyers in 2020. Trump lied, Piers, when he said he never went on the plane. He went on the plane 8 times. We know, for example, that Epstein wrote in 2011, Donald Trump spent hours at my house with a victim. He referred to Trump being at his house as the dog that hasn't barked. He said in 2019, Trump knew about the girls. Now, he could be lying, Epstein. He's a horrible, convicted sex offender. But the point is, we've not had full investigations. The media has barely touched this, Piers. There's been a lot of coverage of Prince Andrew and Thiel and Elon Musk and Reid Hoffman and all sorts of people, Katie Couric. There hasn't actually been that much coverage of Donald Trump's own relationship with Epstein as much as there should have been. If this was any other president or politician, this would be a huge scandal. And I agree with you on the kind of, we haven't got evidence of criminality, but I just want to show, this is in the Epstein files, right? This is page 21. This is a 21-page FBI a PowerPoint presentation. This is the page they have from last summer called Prominent Names. Donald Trump's at the top with 2 allegations in there. Now, I'm not saying those are proven allegations, but the idea that we as a media, that the American public's not even familiar with those allegations, I think we need to be talking much more about what a huge scandal this is.
After all of that, Piers Morgan did what he tends to do. He gave a kind of partial, non-committal acknowledgement. Yeah, okay, some of that's fair without ever fully engaging with the substance. But what was harder to miss was his body language while Mehdi was making his Epstein points. That smile, it didn't read as confident dismissal. It read as discomfort. The kind of smile that appears when someone knows there's truth in what they're hearing and doesn't quite know what to do with it. And that's the broader issue with Piers when it comes to Trump. He frames himself as balanced, but the balance doesn't appear to be applied evenly. When Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez gave a poor answer at a public event recently, Piers played the clip and called her out, and criticism, in itself, is fair enough. But the standard doesn't appear to be consistent. You could find dozens of equivalent or far worse moments from Republicans, and they don't get the same treatment. Watching recent episodes of Piers Uncensored, he does question Republicans, but not with the same sharpness or persistence. When Piers says Trump Derangement Syndrome, he is at that moment essentially echoing Trump's own talking point back at his critics. But as Mehdi laid out clearly in this debate, with documents in hand, you don't need to be deranged to criticize Donald Trump. You just need to be paying attention. The man has 8 documented flights on Epstein's private jet. He appears by name, with 2 listed allegations, in an FBI PowerPoint presentation. These aren't fringe claims. These are items from official records that the broader media has largely left untouched. That's what Clear Record is here for. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe and press the bell so you don't miss the next breakdown.